Today's episode is brought to you by Mana Traders. Use the link in the description to help support the show and use discount code ORACLE to get 20% off the first 3 months of your subscription. Hello Internet, my name is Blue, and today we're back for another episode of Brews. And Zendikar Rising is finally out on Arena and on Moto, so today we are playing a new deck thanks to a lot of new cards from Zendikar Rising. You can see the deck list in front of you. I will admit this isn't a brew of my own. I'm not going to take credit for this. I saw this from Saffron Olive over on Goldfish. But I thought that this deck was really sweet, and there was no way in hell I wasn't going to play it either on stream or for a video. I decided to do it for a video because I love this deck so much. I wanted to play it, so let's get into the deck. But before we do, one quick reminder: if you enjoyed the video, enjoy the series, enjoy the channel, everything else, go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell icon so you get notified whenever we have a new video go up. So let's jump into the deck. So you can probably see what the deck is trying to do. I've got it all organized so you can see everything that the deck is doing. First of all, this is a landfall deck through and through. There are, I think, 4 new landfall cards: Akum, Hellhound, Skyclave Pickaxe, and Brushfire Elemental. There's only 3 new landfall cards. I'm an idiot. But there's 4 new cards in total. That's what I was getting at. So, right here we have all of our landfall creatures. We have 4 Steplinks and 4 Akum Hellhound. They're the exact same card, except Steplinks is white instead of red for Hellhound. This is a dog. This is a cat. Doesn't matter. They're the same card in this deck. Next, we have Skyclave Pickaxe. I really like this card because it turns our non-landfall creatures into landfall creatures, giving them +2/2 whenever a land enters the battlefield. The equip cost is a little bit high, but this auto-equips when it enters the battlefield, so there is upside to it. It does sometimes do things. And then Plated Geopede and Brushfire Elemental, they both do different things, but they both do the same landfall trigger. When a land enters, they get +2/+2. Every card in this pile has the same landfall trigger. When a land enters the battlefield, that creature gets +2/+2. Skyclave Pickaxe does it for the equipped creature. Whatever, it's the same thing. So this pile is where our deck is trying to get in massive amounts of damage. We can turn 1 play one of these 2, turn 2 play a Pickaxe, play a fetch land, and then that's like 12 damage on like turn 2. This is absurd how quickly that the damage can stack up here. And that's not counting any creatures that we might play out of this pile on turn 2 or anything else that we might play. So let's get into the next pile. This is all of our landfall stuff. So this is our non-landfall stuff. Wayward Guidebeast, probably one of the worst rares to come out of Zendikar Rising, but it works really well in our deck because it lets us bounce lands so we can reuse them for landfall triggers. It's a really cool card. I like this card in this deck in specific, otherwise I wouldn't play it. Goblin Guide, most aggressive 1-drop in all of Magic. 1 mana 2/2 with haste. When it attacks, doesn't matter, they get a land, so what, whatever. Wild Nacatl, 1 mana 3/3, doesn't have haste like Goblin Guide or the Wayward Guidebeast, but it is a 1 mana 3/3, so if we don't have like our Steplinks or our Hellhounds or whatever, this is a 3/3 that we can play. Like, it's a 1/1 that gets +1/+1 if we have a mountain and +1/+1 if you have a plains. We have 14 fetch lands in our deck, and they can all find like our shocks that are plains and mountains and plains and forest and mountains and forests, so we're almost always going to have this as a 3/3 on turn 2. This is a really good card. It's really absurd in these like zoo style of decks. There was a time where this was banned in Modern, if I remember correctly, so Wild Nacatl is a really good card. Next, we have a little bit of burn. We have 4 Lightning Bolt, and Atarka's Command may look a little bit weird. Normally, you'd want this to be like a Lava Spike or something, so you have an additional 1 mana 3 damage burn spell to throw at the face, but what I like about Atarka's Command is we can choose the mode to put a land onto the battlefield, so we can drop another fetch land, which will trigger our landfall stuff again, and then we get to fetch that land again for more landfall triggers. We can also like give our team +1/+1, which sometimes is more than the bolt mode on Atarka's Command. This is a really solid card. Plus, the bolt mode doesn't target; it says each opponent, so we can get around like ley lines and stuff like that. So Atarka's Command, all 4 modes of this card are super relevant. It's also just like an incidental Skullcrack, which is nice. Like, your opponents can't gain life. Like, that's really cool. I love this card in this deck in specific. Like, it does so many things. All 4 modes are relevant in this deck. I love it. And next we have 14 total fetch lands, 4 Arid Mesa, 4 Wooded Foothills, 4 Windswept Heath, 4 of the fetches that are in our colors, and then 1 Verdant Catacombs, 1 Bloodstained Mire, just as additional fetch lands, so we always have a fetch to be able to go double trigger our landfall stuff. 1 Temple Garden, 1 Sacred Foundry, 2 Stomping Grounds, and then a couple basics as fetch targets for all of our fetch lands. Yes, we will run out of fetch targets eventually with our fetch lands. That will happen. I'm not saying it won't, But the hope is we play a fetch land on 1, go fetch, play a creature. Turn 2, we play another creature, fetch, go get a thing, and then turn 3, we do the same thing and our opponent's dead. So the hope is that our opponent is dead before that happens, where we run out of fetch targets. Sideboard, bunches of removal, Path to Exile for exile-based removal, Abrade for artifacts and creatures, Cindervines for artifacts and enchantments, and a little bit of incidental spell hate for like Storm and stuff, Soul Guide Lantern for graveyard hate, Alpine Moon for Tron and stuff like that, Renin 6 for control. This lets us get back our lands and keep reusing them, and if our opponent can't kill the Renin 6, it will eventually ultimate, so we can just keep getting back our Lightning Bolts and our Atarkus commands and eventually just run away with the game. It's only a 1-of because I just want to test it, but I really like Renin 6, the idea of it in the sideboard for control. And then Roiling Vortex. I really like this card from Zendikar. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player takes 1 damage, and then whenever a player casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, Roiling Vortex deals 5 damage to them, and then we can pay a red. Your opponents can't gain life this turn. This just basically gives us a backup way to deal damage to our opponent. Like, we can bring this in against control, against, like, Uro decks, stop the late game with something other than a Tarkus command out of the main deck, and this also has the added upside where if our opponent is playing like Ignasium and they try to pack the negation us to whatever, they take 5 from that, or if we're playing against, I don't know, something like eggs or something, and they try to cast spells for free, this will eventually kill them. There was also this Citadel Eggs deck that I saw a few weeks ago in Modern. If we run into that, they can't cast spells off the top of their deck with Citadel, because when they do, Vortex deals 5 damage to them. So it's a really solid card. I love this card. We're going to test it out. I hope it does well. And then Weather the Storm for a little bit of life gain if we ever run into like an opposing aggro deck or whatever. And then you probably noticed that our entire 75 is under 2 converted mana cost. So we have Lurrus as our companion. Entire 74, I guess, because Lurrus is our companion. It's 3, whatever. But yeah, this lets us get back all of our creatures that died. And honestly, it's a really solid card. I love Lurrus. I have played Lurrus in so many decks. I looked through my deck page on Goldfish earlier today, and like 88 out of each deck, 8 decks, sorry, 8 out of like the 10 or 15 decks that Goldfish shows you per page is a Lurrus deck. Like, it's absurd how many Lurrus decks I have. I play Lurrus in so many formats. So many decks play Lurrus. I love it. Lurrus is a great card. To the point that, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to stop my rambling. You can tell that I'm excited for this deck because, anyway, we're going to get into the games. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I will see y'all in the games. All right, match 1 with Naya Landfall Zoo in Modern. Super excited for this deck. I tested this deck last night. Like, as soon as Zendikar hit the client, I was testing this deck, and it is so fun to play. I normally don't like aggro decks unless they draw a lot of cards like Prowess does, and I think this is a keepable hand. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this. This deck can put in so much damage so quickly that even though it doesn't draw cards, like, I'm perfectly okay with that. Normally, I don't play aggro decks that don't just churn through the deck like Prowess does, but this one just stacks up the damage so quickly the game can be over before our opponent even realizes it that it doesn't matter. Opponent plays a Swamp and does something. I'm going to go ahead and F8. Harsh Scrutiny. Okay, they can take one of our many 1-drops. I feel like our opponent's playing a budget deck. You don't see Harsh Scrutiny that often in Modern when Thoughtseize and Inquisition exist. Ooh. Opponent debating what to take here. So, if they take one of our landfall creatures, then we're just going to play the other one. That also determines what land we get, because we have to get a green land, because I want a Skyclave Pickaxe on turn 2 before I play the land. Come on. My cat is jumping all over the place. So, basically, what I'm going to do is, let's say our opponent takes the Zeppelins. I'm going to... Okay, they take the Goblin Guide. Interesting. So, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to play one of these. I think I'm going to go get Stomping Grounds. I'm going to play the Hellhound. Rabbit, come on. Alright, you're just going to see what I'm going to do. I'm going to play the Windswept Teeth. Fetch, go get a Stomping Grounds. I think I was supposed to play the Verdant Catacombs there, but whatever. Grab Stomping Grounds, untapped, and then Hellhound. And pass the turn. So next turn, I'm going to Pickaxe. Actually, they took the Goblin Guide, which changes my plans. I just now realized that, like, they took the Goblin Guide, which messed up my entire plan. Like, it messed up what I was doing in my head. Okay, you can have Wild Nacatl. Step Links, or Brush Fire. Take your pick. This makes me think our opponent might be on 8 rack, now that I'm thinking about it. I want to keep the pickaxe, because that's part of my plan next turn. But we'll see what they take. Blackmail. They take the Brush Fire. Okay, so we still have the Nicottle and the Step Links in hand. Oh, and we drew the land. Interesting. Okay, so let's pickaxe. Opponent. I mean, opponent could have removal, which kind of messes up our whole plan here, but it's fine. Verdant Catacombs. Trigger our landfall stuff. Always yield to this stuff. Opponent's got something. They could have like a Fatal Push or something. Yep, there's the Fatal Push. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and crack, because I'm going to get this... I think I'm going to get the Step Links down. Let's take Temple Garden. Untapped. Yep. Fatal Push works. See, Fatal Push is annoying here, because it stops our stuff. And then let's Step Links. Because Step Links will put in more damage over the course of the game. Opponent plays a Swamp, and... reveal the top 3 cards of your library. For each of those cards, put that card into your hand unless an opponent pays 3 life. Okay. Exile and pay 3 life for any number of cards. Exile Burglar Rat. And... did they play a land? They did. I think they played a land. Yes, they played the land. So I'm going to let them have the Swamp and Thoughtseize. Okay. Because... I don't want them to have the Burglar Rat because that's a blocker, but I will let them have the Thoughtseize because if they want to cast it, they're going to take 2 damage for it. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, we're just going to be empty-handed by the end of this turn anyway, so it's not going to matter. So let's... Foothills. Trigger our stuff. I wish I could have got down the pickaxe there, but... I wish I could have, like, equipped the pickaxe, but it's fine. Go grab Sacred Foundry, tapped. Trigger our stuff. And then double Nicottle. Alright, opponent. I know your hand. It's a land Thoughtseize, so you need to blow up the board here if you can. You're going to take 4. And then next turn, we will have 6 damage or go to 10. We do need to find land, so our Step Links actually does more stuff. The Scavenging Grounds. Okay, I'm not worried about a Scavenging Grounds here. Okay, there's a land. Sweet. So, equip. Actually. Yeah, I'm going to equip to the Step Links. I know their hand, so it doesn't matter. And then Foothills fetch. So if they let it resolve, we're going to Wooded Foothills. Trigger our stuff. They don't have removal. We know that. We know their hand. We're going to fetch. Go get Stomping Grounds. Play it tapped. Trigger our stuff. And attack for... almost lethal? Like, I think you're at 2 here. Yeah, you're down to 2. So both Nicottles are lethal. If we draw a land, Step Links is lethal. So we're representing at least 2 lethal threats, and if we draw a land, at least 3 lethal threats. Sweet. Cool. And then we could have also drawn like a bolt or something to do it. Okay. Moto didn't want to let me draw the card to see what we would have drawn. Okay, so opponent is... I think we bring in Roiling Vortex and... Do I want Renin 6? I don't think I do. If they are playing 8 rack, maybe Cindervines has some value. And then I'll just go down 2 plated Geopedes because it doesn't have haste, and go down... Go down to Pickaxe. They're playing a lot of removal, so Pickaxe gets worse whenever we have to hardcast, whenever we have to pay for the equip cost. So go down to Pickaxe just in case, because it is arguably the worst of our 1-drops. All right, game 2 here. Waiting for our opponent to decide if they're going to play or draw. Okay, pop out graveyards, reveal zone, Lurus. Alright, this hand, I like this hand. We're going to keep it. We have 2 landfall creatures again. We have multiple hasty threats for turn 2. Yeah, I'm going to keep this. This is a really solid hand. We can stack up the damage super quickly with this hand. Opponent's mulliganing to 5 again. That's never good. It's never fun to see your opponent mulliganing to 5 both games. Um, I don't know. Excuse me. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, we drew another land too. Alright, so let's... Do I want Hellhound or Steplings first? I guess it doesn't matter. Let's, play the Windswept Teeth. Fetch. I'm gonna go get... I'm gonna get Stomping Grounds and play Hellhound. There's Hellhound. This way, I'm doing it this way because if we draw a pickaxe, we can play it before we play our land. To stack on more damage. Opponent could also have removal, like that's not an impossibility. We saw Fatal Push out of them last game, so... But we have multiple threats, so... The other downside to this, though, is that we can't play Steplinks next turn before we play the land, but it doesn't have haste anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, basically, next turn is looking like I'm just going to play... I think I'm going to play Goblin Guide, Steplinks, and then the turn after play Wayward Guide Beast and then do all the other fun shenanigans. So Wayward Guide Beast is a really solid card, though. Ooh, Gifted Aetherborn. That changes things. Alright, so Foothills. Fetch, go get Sacred Foundry. Untapped. Play Steplinks. Bolt the Aetherborn. And pass the turn. Alright, so next turn looks like we're going to... Okay, so they played a land. Ooh, another hasty creature. Yeah, we're going to Bloodstained Mire. Triggers it. And I'm going to go get... I think I'm just going to go get a mountain. Get our mountain. Trigger the Steplinks. Play Goblin Guide. Play Guide Beast. Play Guide Beast. Now, there is a downside to these Wayward Guide Beasts. We're going to have to bounce 2 of our lands back to our hand. The thing is, though, that's not that much of a downside, because we get to replay them to guarantee that we have lands for our Steplinkses. Opponent brought in Lost Legacy. I don't think that's a good card. Let's bounce Mountain, and let's bounce Sacred Foundry. I want to keep the Stomping Grounds because of Skycleave Pickaxe. If we draw it, we want to be able to play it before we play our lands. Opponent. Wow, they had Damnation. Okay, sure. See, that is a real cost to Wayward Guide Beast. Now we are multiple lands away from getting our Lurus back to be able to do more shenanigans. But look at that, we drew a Goblin Guide anyway. We're so good at Magic, guys. Goblin Guide. Sacred Foundry tapped, go to combat, attack for 2, and hit our opponent. They hit a land. So their hand is land and Lost Legacy. Lost Legacy isn't a card I particularly care about. I'm not sure why they brought it in, but whatever. Let's see what they name with it if they end up casting it. They do cast it. They could name like Lightning Bolt or something. This just isn't a card that I think you bring in, is it? They name Steplinks. Sure. You got rid of our Steplinkses. Congratulations. I didn't care about them anyway. Yeah, that's fine. Like, I don't care. Does this not exile it from the graveyard? Yeah, it does. They just didn't exile it. And look at that. We drew a Wayward Guide Beast. So let's... Yeah, let's Guide Beast. Hit our opponent down to 4. and then I'm going to bounce the Sacred Foundry and then replay it tapped. They hit another land, so they have one unknown card in their hand. Guide Beast, bounce, Sacred Foundry, and then replay it tapped. Pass the turn. So, like I mentioned earlier, there is a real cost to playing Wayward Guide Beast because you do have to keep bouncing your lands, so we can't replay these lands, so we can't get Lurrus to our hand. What? Okay. Sure. Let's Mountain and just get Lurrus to our hand. Pass the turn. I'm not going to attack into this Child of Night. You know what? I'm making fun of this Child of Night, but it is making it to where we can't attack. So, you know, that's a thing. But we are almost to a point to where it doesn't matter. Next turn, we can play Lurrus, Cabal Stronghold. That's a card. They can't attack because, yeah, sure. We're at a point to where we can play Lurrus. Oh, and we drew another Wayward Guide Beast. So, do I just get back Goblin Guide? I think. Attack for 6. They block. Yeah, let's Windswept Heath. Fetch. Go get Temple Garden. Untapped. White, white. Doesn't matter. Play Lurrus. Get Lurrus down. And then Gobble Guide from the graveyard. And I will attack here. I'll attack for 6. Opponent gets to block. They'll take 4, gain 2, back up to 2. They hit a Scavenger Grounds. They hit a Swamp. Okay, so at least 2 lands in hand. I assume the last card in their hand is also a land because they're not playing it. They have to block or they die. And then they'll just stay at 2. Sweet. Yeah, they had another land in hand. I thought so. So yeah, that was a solid game. We were gonna draw a Hellhound. Yeah. So yeah, Wayward Guide Beast didn't feel that bad at all. I know a lot of people have been making fun of this card because it's just a really bad Goblin Guide, but this is a really solid card, especially in a deck like this where you actively want your lands back in your hand so you can replay them for landfall triggers. And Lurrus did work there too. Like Lurrus, I don't think we would have won there if it wasn't for Lurrus because, I mean, we drew the Wayward Guide Beast, but like being able to get back Goblin Guide put us in a position to where if our opponent had blocked, they would have gone to 2. And then next turn, like, even if they blow up the board, we still have the Guide Beast in our hand. So people like to make fun of Guide Beast because it's not a good 1-drop, but we have a lot of other 1-drops that we want to play on turn 1 anyway. We don't want to play Wayward Guide Beast on turn 1. This is like a turn 2, turn 3 play where we don't have another land anyway, or we've already triggered all of our landfall stuff. We need to get in more damage. Wayward Guide Beast is really solid in this deck. I love it. This is a fantastic card for this kind of a strategy. I love it. I know our opponent was playing kind of a budget deck, I assume, like Blackmails and Harsh Scrutiny, stuff like that. They're not playing like Thoughtseizes Inquisitions. They brought in Lost Legacy against us, which really wasn't good. Dead Damnation got us, so it is kind of helpful that we had Lurrus. But yeah, like, we put in a lot of work really quickly, and our opponent couldn't get back into it. So yeah, sweet, 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 sweet. All right, match 2 with Naya Landfall Zoo in Modern. Lurrus is our companion. And this hand, I'm going to keep this. We're going to reply to our opponent first of all. Alright, sweet. This hand, I'm going to keep it. We've got Steplinks on 1. We have 2 Nakados. We've got Bolt. I'm going to keep it. This hand isn't as aggressive as I want it to be, but it can still pile on damage rather quickly. So let's start with... Let's Foothills. I need to go get Temple Garden because I want to double Nakadal on turn 2. So I need to go get white mana here. Grab Temple Garden, untap. But I also need to Nakadal on 1, or Steplinks on 1. I'm an idiot. Opponent asked what our Archive Trap. Okay, so they milled our Stomping Grounds. They milled our Sacred Foundry. Okay, so they milled 2 of our fetch targets. All right. Opponent asked what our YouTube channel was, so I was just replying to them real quick. So we don't have our Sacred Foundry anymore, so that's a bummer. But we do still have our other stomping grounds. That Archive Trap is really good against us because we're playing 14 fetch lands, which 1, 2, 3, 4 of them got milled there. They milled a lot of good stuff, like our Skyclave Pickaxe, our Gobble Guides. They milled multiple Hellhounds, multiple Goblin Guides. They milled a lot of good stuff. Um, yeah. Yeah, that was... Ugh. All right. Cool. Our opponent said that they actually subscribed to our YouTube channel, so thank you, opponent. Shout out to Izao13. I'm sure I butchered your name. I apologize, but yeah, definitely appreciate the sub. I hope you enjoy watching this video. Come on. Sorry, my mouse isn't working. It likes to not work sometimes. Cool. So, okay, cool. So let's fetch, go get our other stomping grounds before it gets milled. All right, and then go to Wombat. We're going to attack our opponent for 4 before we do anything else. So we drew the play to Geopede, so that begs the question, do I play the Geopede? Okay, so they're just going to cycle their Visions of Beyond. Yeah, because we don't have 20 cards yet. Okay, so they're going to take 4. Yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and get the Geopede down, because that's going to represent a lot more damage next turn than the double Nicodle will, I think. I don't know. Okay, Ruin Crap. I love this card. I think this is a card that really makes this deck so much better. Ooh, and wow. Okay. Brush Fire Elemental. Keep piling on the damage. Arid Mesa. I think we have 1 land left to get. I think we have our basic mountain left. I played against Mill the other night when I was testing this, and we only have 6 lands that we can go fetch for. And yeah, we only have the mountain left. We only have 6 lands that we can fetch for. So if our opponent mills them all, we just kind of do nothing. Okay, so I'm going to hit control because I'm going to attack. And I'm going to bolt down the crab so they can't block with it. Sweet. And then they'll take 14 down to 2. Oh man, this is so fun. There's the Visions of Beyond. Oh wow, that was an Ancestral. Incidentally, our fetch bolt put 20 cards in our graveyard for them. They do need to, we have 29 cards left. I don't know if they can mill us out. Any fetch lands we draw, yeah, there we go. Any fetch lands we draw, we're just not going to crack because we don't have lands left in our deck to get them. Wow, we're going to draw 2 of them. They weren't dead there, though. We don't have any more lands to fetch. I'm sure when they watch this video back, whenever it goes live here in a few days, they will realize that we weren't dead because we're talking about it. I don't know if I have anything for this sideboard. Maybe Renin 6 so I can get lands back from the graveyard, or if I ever get its ultimate, I can I should be able to get its ultimate against the mono blue deck, but they're filling our graveyard, so we can turn our fetch lands into retrace cards. Cindervines also might add up to a lot of damage. Okay, let's bring in Roiling Vortex and Renin 6. I'm going to hold off on the Cindervines for now. Take out 2 plated Geopedes. Geopede is the worst of the 2 of our 1-drops because it doesn't have haste, where Brushfire does. Plus, Brushfire has that weird questing beast ability. Can't be blocked by creatures power 2 or less. There's a lot of cards in Magic that have that text, but like the Brushfire Elemental has the text, and it's really solid. So This is not a hand we can keep. This is so close, but we have our one basic forest, and we can't cast any of the cards in our hand because of it, so that's a mulligan. This hand, however, this one I will keep. I will keep this one, get rid of a Nicodle, and I will turn one Step Links, assuming our opponent doesn't Thought Seize it. Oh no, they're just going to play a Ruin Crab. So I'm going to Sacred Foundry turn one, so as to not turn on, like, Archive Trap and stuff like that. And then next turn, I'm going to double Goblin Guide. Or I can Gobble Guide Nicodle, I think. I don't know. I'll figure something out. Let's wait until we get to our turn first, before I start rambling off what I'm going to do. We were on the play last game as well, so that had something to do with us just destroying our opponent so quickly. I am afraid about getting milled too quickly here, though. Because, like I said last game, our opponent missed their land drop, which is nice. Ooh, Pickaxe. Sadly, we don't have the green mana to play that first. But... yeah, let's Arid Mesa and trigger our Step Links. We're going to fetch, go get Stomping Grounds. Opponent can kill our Step Links if they want. I don't care. Dream lived. Stomping Grounds. Untapped. So either our opponent has multiple Archive Traps in their hand, or they're very excited that we're getting to live the dream. So let's Gobble Guide. Gobble Gobble. And let's go to combat, I think, and attack for 6. Yep, there's the Archive Trap. There's the first one. Okay, so they milled... okay, they didn't mill any of our fetch targets, so I'm okay with that. They milled a bunch of fetches, but they didn't mill any of our fetch lands. There's the second Archive Trap. Yep, that's what I thought. They had multiple Archive Traps, so one... okay, so they didn't mill any... they only milled one of our fetch lands, or fetch targets. Whoo, boy. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Opponent had all 4 Archive Traps in the first 8 cards of their deck and had all 4 in their hand. Yep. Yep. Worst part is I got that on video, so it's not like I can deny that it ever happened. Like, it's on video. Oh my god, that was brutal. Yeah. Run it back. Wow. I'm gonna be salty about that for a while. I don't sound salty, but trust me, I am very salty on the inside. I like this hand. I'm gonna keep it. Just know that the salt is pouring in my mind at the moment. My god. Yeah, we are very soft Archive Trap, playing 14 fetch lands. Ugh. Brutal. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm going to Hellhound into Skyclave Pickaxe, so I need to go get Stomping Grounds. Windswept Heath. Fetch. Get Stomping Grounds. Untapped. And Hellhound. Pass the turn. And there's the Archive Trap. Let's see, so they milled... okay, they milled 3... oh my god. These Archive Traps, dude, they keep milling our lands. Pickaxe. On the Hellhound. Play the fetch land. Trigger our stuff. Yield to our stuff. Fetch. Grab. Oh my god, we don't have white mana. They milled our Sacred Founder and our Temple Garden. Stomping Grounds untapped. Do the thing. Bolt. You know what? No, let's untap. Go to combat and attack. If they want to block, that's fine. I don't know. It's probably correct to. I don't think. Okay, they didn't block, so that's fine. So let's Nicodle, and then next turn I will. Oh my god. So we have a mountain left on our deck. That's our only fetch target. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Oh my god. And if they mill our mountain, then we just have these 2 lands for the rest of the game. We have no white mana. Oh my god. When our opponent rewatches this video, they are going to learn that they milled all of our white sources here. The salt is flowing. Just know that the salt is flowing. I'm sure our mountain's in this pile. It's not! Wow, we still have our mountain in the deck. So playing the pickaxe is pointless because we don't have the land. Our Hellhound doesn't do anything because we don't have lands. Well, let's bolt the crab. Yeah, our opponent milled all of our lands. So we can't get landfall triggers. Play Gobble Guide, go to combat, attack for 4, opponent's down to 5. They get a forest. I just now realized that they have green mana. I don't know what the green mana is for, and I'm really worried to know what the green mana is for. Yeah, we can't. I don't. We have a Tarkus command that puts them down to a virtual 2 if it resolves. Oh man, there's the forest that we knew about. Go away, forest. Oh my god. If I lose this, I'm gonna be so salty. That is glimpse mana. That is a glimpse. We have 10 cards left. Okay. Okay, Step Links. That's a useless magic card because we don't have white mana. Attack. I assume this puts our opponent to 1. There's a crab. Okay. I'm going to go for it. Atarka's... I mean, I'm definitely doing... Bolt. Yeah, let's... Opponents can't gain life this turn. Make it a Skull Crack. Oh my god. Do you have the counter, opponent? I probably should have done this upkeep to like play around force and engage. And we got there! Oh my god. That was... I did not expect to get there. I was thinking that our opponent might have had like a counter spell or something that would have just ruined our day. Yeah. I'm gonna pop out this graveyard because I want y'all to see this. Our opponent milled all of our lands to fetch for. They milled our Sacred Foundry, Forest, Temple Garden, and our they didn't mill our mountain. So we still had the mountain in the deck, but then we had our 2 Stomping Grounds in play. We didn't have any white mana, so we couldn't cast our Step Linkses, and our Wild Nicodles were 1 mana 2/2s, which aren't that great. So, yeah, and I think they milled a lot of our fetch lands as well. They milled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's see, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They milled 12 of our 14 fetch lands. So we only have 2 lands left in the deck anyway to trigger landfall, and we didn't have any lands to tutor for except for a single basic mountain. So, let's see. Is the Verdant in here? I don't think the Verdant Catacombs is in here. So, one of those lands was a Verdant Catacombs, which can't even go get our mountain anyway. Let's see, is it the last one a Windswept Heath? No. Okay, so we had only 1 draw that could have, like, legitimately triggered our landfall. Like, we could have drawn... Yeah, so it was Verdant Catacombs and Mountain. Those were the last 2 lands in our deck. The Catacombs can't go get the Mountain, so it would have just been a pointless land. So, yeah. We were... if we didn't win the game there, we most likely would have lost if our opponent had, like, a board wipe or whatever. But, yeah, that was... Oh, my God. Yeah. All right, match 3 with Naya Landfall Zoo. We're on the play, which usually ends up going well for us. Okay, so This hand is really close to being good, but we only have one land. I'm going to keep it. We're going to risk it. One land usually fails me, but whatever. We're going to... It's fine. We're going to go get a Stomping Grounds. Stomping Grounds, untapped, and Nikotl. Pass the turn. If we draw a land, we can... I wonder. I'm not sure yet. Okay, so our opponent's playing Boggles. Can we beat Boggles? We're going to find out. We don't draw the land. Disturbing. Alright, let's go to combat. Attack for 2. And I assume our opponent doesn't block. They do not. And we'll just play another Nikotl. Ugh. 3 Geopedes. Yeah, that's brutal. Alright, Rancor. If they can find like a Vigilance Enabler, then we're in trouble. Griff Spoon. Okay. I don't care about flying. We might be faster. I don't know. Oh, they're just going to stay back. Okay. Pickaxe. Put it on a Nikotl. On Nikotl. Here we go. Alright, and we don't have a land. We can't attack through a 4-1, so our 2/2s are just going to hang back for the time. Waterlogged Grove from the opponent. And I assume they're just going to keep playing auras. Nope, they're going to play a Gem Razor. Interesting. I didn't realize that modern Boggles was playing Gem Razor. Oh, they get to... Huh. They get to blow up our pickaxe. I forgot that... You know what? That's fine. That's fine. Do they attack? They do not. We continue to not draw lands. We can't get through this. I'm going to scoop it up, not show our opponent anymore. They saw the Landfall card, but they may just think that we're... No, they saw the Nikotl, so I'm almost certain they'll think that we're Naya. Whatever. I don't think that was... Let's bring in the Cindervines, because that can blow up auras and go down 2 Geopedes. And run it like that. Yeah, we kept a 1-land hand. It ended up not paying off for us, so... We'll try again. We'll see. Alright, game 2 of match 3. Luris is our companion. And, oh my god, another 1-lander. I'm not going to keep it again. This one, I will keep this one, and I will bottom the Verdant Catacombs. Keep this. Sacred Foundry, untapped, and Steplinks. Pass the turn. Next turn, I will Geopede, and then the turn after that, I will Arid Mesa, fetch, do all the stuff. Another Boggle. This is, I think that's twice in a row our opponent kept 7, so that's never good for us. Let's Arid Mesa, trigger, fetch, go get, I think Stomping Grounds. Stomping Grounds, untapped. Go to combat, attack for 4. Come on, my mouse isn't working. Attack for 4. Put our opponent down to 16. And then... Geopede. Pass the turn. Maybe we'll draw something like a Brushfire or a Pickaxe or something. Like, if we draw a hasty landfall threat, we should be set up for upcoming turns here. And even if we don't draw anything, like say we just draw another land, we can Cindervines and just blow up a thing. Yeah, we can blow up this Ethereal Armor, for example. Bolt. Bolt's not bad. Let's... Okay, so I'm going to end up going to get my Temple Garden. So let's play the Arid Mesa, trigger the stuff, and then red, green, Cindervines. Fetch, grab Temple Garden, untapped. Trigger our stuff. Go to combat and attack for 9. Our opponent can block, but we'll just blow up. Probably... Cool. So, yeah, they'll just take it, go to a low life total of 7. We will pass the turn. And we'll see what happens. If our opponent... Daybreak Coronet. Okay. Sure. So Coronet resolves, that's fine. And if they go attacking, we'll just blow up the coronet. I probably should have... Whatever. Yeah, I definitely should have blown up the coronet before they went attacking, just because vigilance is a thing. We'll go to 8. Our opponent stays at 4. We untap. Dryad Arbor, okay. We untap. Play the land. Trigger our stuff. Go to combat. Attack. Our opponent basically has to block with both of them, or they die, because we can fetch it. And then we also have Bolt. So, yep, let's fetch. Grab Stomping Grounds, tapped. Trigger our stuff. Both of our opponent's creatures die. They take no damage. Oh, right, they had the... I forgot about the Dryad Arbor. Whatever. Pass the turn. I'm not going to get Luris back yet. I just realized that I don't have those popped out. Rancor. Okay. Our opponent could just kill us here. If they have... yep. Bolt our opponent down to 1 and then die? Yeah. Okay. Cool. I hate boggles. I always will. Match 4 with Naya Landfall Zoo in Modern. Yep, we will play first. Luris is our companion. Pop out Graveyards, pop out Revealed Zone. Don't know why that one popped out. This hand we have 0 lands. That's a mulligan. This hand we have multiple lands. I think I'll keep this one. I'll keep this one. Get rid of, I think, an Arid Mesa. Turn 1, Nicotl. Turn 2... yeah, get rid of an Arid Mesa. Okay. Alright, so... Windswept Teeth, fetch. Go get Stomping Grounds, untapped. For Nicotl. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a Windswept Teeth. We untap. That is another Nicotl. Let's pickaxe on Nicotl. Opponent lets it resolve. We will Arid Mesa, trigger, fetch, go get... I want to play the other pickaxe. No, I want to play the other Nicotl. So grab Temple Garden, untapped. Trigger our stuff, go to combat, attack for 7. Opponent takes it down to 13. Play the other Nicotl. Pass the turn. I assume Stomping Grounds tapped. Okay. So I assume that our opponent didn't have a path, because if they did, they would have cast it during combat. Forest from the opponent. Scavenging Ooze. Okay. We untap. Alright, so let's... Pickaxe on the other Nicotl. Windswept Teeth. Fetch it. Grab Sacred Foundry, untapped, go to combat, and attack for 14. Opponent has to block 1. So we will Atarka's Command. We're going to 3 damage to each opponent, +1/+1. So green, red. Opponent's down to 1. It's turn 3, and our opponent's at 1. Okay. Bad news is I don't know what our opponent's on. We saw Scavenging Ooze, though. I think I want to bring in the Paths, because if they're playing Skoos, they're most likely some kind of creature deck. Bring in a couple Paths, go down 2 Geopedes. I noticed that I take out Geopedes a lot. I feel like Geopede is the worst creature in our deck overall, because it's not a 1-drop, and the upside to Brushfire is that it has haste. GOP doesn't. It trades haste for first strike. Um, and I don't think first strike is better. I feel like first strike is a mostly irrelevant ability in modern. Like sometimes it comes up on cards like Thalia, but plated GOP can just grow into such a large threat so quickly because of all of our landfall stuff that it doesn't really matter. Ugh. Okay. We will be on the draw. Lurrus. All right. This hand, 4 lands, Nicodle, a Tarkus command. I don't think this is good enough. It's not fast enough. This hand is. I will keep this one. And, I think I'm going to get rid of the path. I know I brought in the paths as removal, but we want our lands because we're trying to trigger our landfall stuff. And we have several really powerful threats. So, yeah, I'm going to do that. Utopia Sprawl. What was their land? Stomping Ground? Oh, this must be Ponza. Okay, that makes sense. So, I'm going to Bloodstain Mire. Fetch, go get Stomping Grounds. Untapped. And Hellhound. Pass the turn. Ugh. If this is Ponza, then Wayward Guidebeast is worse. What do they name with the... Okay, they named red. Alright, so... Bolts are Hellhound. Interesting. And passes. Ah, we drew the pickaxe, too. That's annoying. Whatever. Let's... Temple Garden, untapped. Whoops. Control Z. We're going to Nicodle and Guidebeast. Attack for 2, put our opponent down to 17, and we're going to end up bouncing a land here, which is fine. Yes, bounce. I think we bounce the Temple Garden. Because we care about our red mana more than we care about our white mana, considering our only white card is Step Links. If this is anger... Alright, and we drew a pickaxe. Yep, we're going to scoop it up. We have 3 lands, 2 pickaxes in hand. Sure. Run it back? Yeah, let's just run it back. Yeah, opponent had Bolt, they had Anger. They were able to keep our board clear, which was annoying. And then we just drew the pickaxes, which don't do anything unless we have a board. So, whatever. Sure. We got the super explosive kill game 1, and then we got demolished by removal game 2. It happens. Pop out the correct zones. Okay, this hand. We have lands. I'm going to keep this. However, I'm not happy about Guidebeast here. See, this is another downside of Guidebeast. We can't play it on turn 1. Like, we can play it. I'm probably just going to play it, but I'm not going to attack with it. So, I don't know. Let's, Foothills, fetch, get Stomping Grounds, untapped, and Guidebeast. I'm not attacking with it, because I don't want to bounce our Stomping Grounds because we have 2 drops that I want to play, but I do just want to get it on the battlefield so it's there, so I don't have to cast it later. Windswept Teeth, fetch, go get, let's get Sacred Foundry, untapped, and get down a Geopede, and pass the turn. Next turn, I will Brushfire Elemental, land, fetch, attack. Hopefully, maybe we draw a 1-drop that we can play. Okay, they're going to bolt the Geopede. That's fine. And Cindervines. Okay. I don't care about Cindervines that much. And we did draw the 1-drop. Okay. So, Brushfire, Windswept Teeth, trigger, fetch, go get a Stomping Grounds, untapped, Goblin Guide, attack for 9. Opponent hits a Pillage. So, because we see the Pillage, I'm actually going to bounce the Sacred Foundry because we don't have another fetch to go get our other white source, so I want to protect our white source from this Pillage. See, Wayward Guide Bee's doing stuff, protecting us against Ponza. See, this is a good card, guys. Ugh. Oh, man. Opponent plays a forest, so they can't pillage us this turn anyway, but Blood Moon. Okay, that's fine. That does mean we can't Atark as command, however. Okay, sure. Let's Geopede. Sacred Foundry. Trigger our stuff. And Hellhound. Attack. Flips an Arbor Elf. We hit, bounce, Sacred Foundry, and yeah. Guide Beast doing stuff. If we ever draw our basic forest, we get to Atarka's command. Also, our opponent's at 1. Our opponent said GG, so... Okay, opponent blows up our Stomping Grounds. Alright, so opponent's at 1. If we draw our forest, we get to Atarka's command. Either way, though, we have a massive board of stuff. They know that we have the land to trigger our landfall. Basically, we just have this, yeah. And there we go. Opponent scoops it up. We were having a little chat over here in the thing. Yeah, that was a really solid game. I loved it. That was 2 games. Game 1, we got our opponent down to 1 from very early attacks. Like, they were at 1 on turn 3. This game, turn 4, we got them down to 1. So, very similar effects. I loved this. We had the land, so we were going to trigger 3 landfall creatures. Then we had Goblin Guide and Wayward Guide Beast. We had a lot of stuff going on. And we were going to draw Brush Fire Elemental we couldn't cast, Hellhound. Yeah. Blood Moon did hurt locking us underneath our own lands, because we only have 2 basics. But our deck is almost mono-red. So we don't mind Blood Moon as much as some other decks. So, yeah, sweet. Match 5 with Naya Landfall Zoo in Modern. And I'm super excited. We've done really well so far. Opponent's playing Obosh. You don't see Obosh too often in Modern. This is a keep. I'm going to keep this. We have 2 Wayward Guide Beasts, which you don't normally want to see the Guide Beast in multiples. It's sometimes a bother. But we're going to Arid Mesa fetch for Stomping Grounds. Stomping Grounds untapped, and whoops. I'm going to Wild Nicottle first. If our opponent wants to kill it, like if they want to spend cards killing our Wild Nicottle, I'm okay with that. If they don't, we're going to Pickaxe Goblin Guide. Okay, Swift Spear. This must just be a different build of Prowess. If it is Prowess, then it's probably safe for me to assume that they don't have like Manamorphoses and stuff. Like, they definitely don't because they're playing Obosh. Yeah. Okay, so they're going to Lava Dart the Nicottle. Okay. Do they flash back and kill our Nicottle? That is the question. So this is a match that I've been kind of dreading because we don't really have a ton of removal. We just have the 4 bolts in the main deck. We do get to bring in paths out of the sideboard, but this match is one that I definitely didn't want to encounter because our mana base is very painful. We're playing a lot of fetch lands, and yeah, so let's go get a... I think I have to get Sacred Foundry, but I can't hit myself for that much. Boo, opponent. Making us hate ourselves. I gotta get the mountain. I'm going to Nicottle and... I think I just Guide Beast. Or... yeah, let's Guide Beast and keep the Guide Beast back on defense. because we are, yeah, we are low on life. We're already at 10. This deck can get very explosive. They already have 2 prowess creatures in play, which is brutal. They have 2 lands now. They can, yeah, they can definitely just. Oh, they don't have anything. Interesting. And we drew. Okay, so let's pickaxe. And I'm going to pickaxe onto Guide Beast because the Guide Beast has trample. Yield to the pickaxe trigger. Then Arid Mesa. Pickaxe triggers. Then let's fetch. This time I'm going to grab Sacred Foundry, so that way I have my white mana for Nicodle, or so I have a plains for Nicodle. Trigger the thing. Gobble Guide. And Gobble Guide. And attack with everything. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm actually going to hold back the Nicodle. I'm going to bounce the mountain, second main phase, play another Guide Beast for defense. Yeah, I'm going to hold back the Nicodle. Okay, so they hit a land and a Soulscar Mage. Alright. Opponent. Okay, so bounce the mountain. Oh, right. I'm an idiot. I was thinking replay the land, get down another Guide Beast to block. I'm glad I kept back the Nicodle then, because then we could just, like, be dead here. Opponent plays the land we knew about. Ignore me. I'm an idiot. I was thinking, like, the whole point of this deck is to make sure you hit your land drops and play lands and stuff, so I was... Yeah. Bone Crusher Giant Flame Slash. Flame Slash is interesting, but they've already played their land for the turn, so they can't do anything with it. Next turn, we just get to replay the mountain, unless we draw a fetch. I don't think our opponent can attack. They can put us down to 3. Okay, play the... I'm just going to Guide Beast. And, okay, sweet. Alright. Okay, so second main phase. I'm actually kind of surprised that we got there. I was expecting us to straight up die. So bring in the Abrades, bring in the things, and this is where Weather the Storm should shine. Because our opponent's deck is designed to cast a ton of spells all in the same turn. And we should be okay with that. So I'm going to go down the Geopedes. They play a ton of removal. So I'm going to go down the pickaxes, a couple pickaxes. So go down all of the Geopedes and go down 2 of the pickaxes. You've probably, like I mentioned it in a couple games ago, I end up taking Geopede out a lot. And honestly, as strong as Geopede is in game 1, it is definitely the weakest card in the deck. Even though like Steplinks is white mana and we don't have a lot of white mana, I still think Steplinks is better because it comes down on turn 1, where Geopede comes down on turn 2. It's not that explosive. I think on turn 2, I'd rather be playing like double 1-drop or a Brushfire, because at least Brushfire has haste. I don't like Geopede all that much, but it is one of the best options for the deck if we're going to play one of those cards. Ooh, excuse me. Luris is our companion. Opponent has Obosh, as we established last game. I'm going to keep this. We have multiple removal spells. We've got Brushfire Elemental, so we have a threat, and we've got a Tarkus Command. So I'm going to keep this. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Depending on how aggressive our opponent gets off to, like if they have a 1-drop here. Okay, so they have the Swift Spear. Alright, so that's fine. Ooh, we drew a Hellhound. Okay, I'm going to Stomping Grounds and play the Hellhound. I'm going to try to start getting our game plan online to try and eat a little bit of burn spells. Like if they have a Lava Dart, they're going to send it at the Hellhound. I'd rather them like bolt it or something so that we're eating like 3 damage instead of just 1, but it's fine. And then next turn, I can abrade the Swift Spear if they tap out. Okay, so it looks like they're going to stomp it. That's fine. I'd rather them stomp it because then that's using both of their mana. Ooh, okay, that's fine. Let's Windswept Heath. and bolt the Swift Spear and pass the turn. So we drew the bolt, which is nice because that means that we can get the Swift Spear off the battlefield without using our Abrade and without using our Path. Okay, so they're going to bolt our face. That's fine. I think that's setting up for a light at the stage. Yep, there's the light at the stage. Bolt and Mountain. So Mountain and passes. Alright, so this is going to go get Sacred Foundry because we like having... Okay. Green, red, Brushfire. We're very close to being dead. They can kill this with Bolt if they want to. Stomping Ground, untapped. Trigger the thing. I wish it was a fetch land. Okay, so they're going to go ahead and bolt it. Yep. I probably should have just played that tapped anyway. I'm going to go ahead and get this pickaxe down, though. Yeah, I'm going to go to get the pickaxe down. Okay, do that so I don't get timed out. Okay, so what am I doing? Alright, so I can Goblin Guide. Our opponent's still at 20, which is a lot. I'm going to pass. This may seem odd, but I'm just going to pass, hold up Abrade, hold up Path. I'm most likely just going to Abrade the Stomping Grounds. Or the Bone Crusher Giant. If my keyboard will work, so I can apologize to our opponent for taking too long. My keyboard never wants to work. I hate it. And we're just going to Abrade the thing. God. My keyboard's not working, so that's a thing. I don't know why my keyboard never wants to work. Oh my god. Another Bone Crusher. They're going to stomp my face. Okay. I'm pretty sure I'm just dead, though. I'll light up the stage. Okay. Hit Mountain, Kozilek's Return. Alright, we will untap if my mouse will work. I hate my keyboard and mouse here. Pass the turn. I'm not going to play anything because then it's just going to get hit by this Kozilek's Return. And when my opponent... Wow, they had another stomp. Okay, so if they have a bolt, we're just dead. Seasoned Pyromancer to go draw some cards. Okay. They drew 2 cards. And they're going to run out a Bone Crusher. Yeah, we're dead. We're dead. In order to kill the Bone Crusher, I have to take 2, which will put me to 1. Yeah, so... Is there anything out of the sideboard we want? I don't think so. Yeah, I'll just run it back again. Ugh. Good news is, we are on the play for Game 3. So hopefully, here for Game 3, we can... Hopefully here for Game 3, we can steal the 3rd game, and so then we can take a clean 4-1. But we're on the play, so we should be able to get off to a relatively fast and aggressive start and not have to worry about anything. It is odd that our opponent's playing an Obosh deck. I think it's really cool. I haven't seen Obosh since the Companion nerf. So, you know. Alright. We will... take the play. Pop out Graveyard's Revealed Zone. Luris. Yep. Come on. Good hand. Let's have a really solid hand. Ooh. Weather the Storm. You know what? I'm going to keep it. It's not a great hand, but we have Weather the Storm, which should be able to... Oof. Let's Stomping Grounds, untapped, and get down Guide Beast, and I'm just going to pass the turn. I'm not going to attack with it. But this way, I can cleanly block a Monastery Swift Spear or something, or I'm going to force them to, yeah, kill it. That's fine. Yeah, that is okay with me. I don't know why I'm not F8'd, but that's fine. Let's Arid Mesa pass the turn. We're gonna see. We're gonna see how we do. Opponent plays a Soulscar Mage and plays a Swift Spear. So let's fetch. And I'm going to grab the Mountain to save a little bit of life. Let the Swift Spear resolve, and let them attack. Sometimes these decks play like Gut Shot and stuff like that. So I'm going to let them attack first to see if they want to play a spell. They do not, it seems. And then let's Weather the Storm to gain 9. And then Hellhound, Windswept Teeth, trigger the thing, pass the turn. And now we can hold up the ability to landfall pump this so we can block more efficiently. Another Swift Spear. Okay. Fiery Islet. And attacks with everything. Alright, so let's... Okay, so let's bolt... Or no, we're going to block a Swift Spear. And fetch to grow the thing. Grab... Sacred Foundry, tapped. Trigger the thing. Currently kills the Swift Spear. That's fine. Alright, and then opponent's going to light up the stage. Yeah, and then I will bolt the Soulscar Mage now. Well, they only have 1 mana. Sweet. Bolt, light up the stage. So they can either light up the stage again, or they can bolt our Hellhound. They're going to bolt the Hellhound. That's fine. Then we untap. We will Brush Fire Elemental, Arid Mesa, trigger the thing, fetch, grab Temple Garden, untapped, and abrade the Swift Spear. Attack for 5, pass the turn. We're empty-handed. Our opponent has this light up the stage plus 3 cards in hand, but next turn we get to get back. We get to get Luris. Blood Moon. Okay, sure. We draw a land. Play the land. And attack for 3. I'm going to put Luris in my hand, even though we can't cast it. And attack for 3. Alright. Ugh. This is twice now we've gotten Blood Moon, but it's fine. We're not out of this game. Now we are. Seasoned Pyromancer to go digging. They get to draw 2 cards. Most likely we're dead now. Ugh, that's a land too. Pass the turn. We do have red cards in our deck. Unlike last time we got Blood Mooned, this one may actually end up killing us. So our opponent's going to put Obosh in their hand. They're going to attack for 2. Oh my god. They're going to light up the stage. Firebolt can put us down to 15. Goblin Guide's not a bad one. It can put our opponent down to 8. And it will most likely eat this Firebolt as well. They hit a land. So Obosh is in hand. They have a land in hand. Land from the opponent that we knew they had. Obosh. We may... we're probably just dead. It doubles the damage. So this is 4. Firebolt kills our Goblin Guide. I personally probably wouldn't have killed the Goblin Guide. I probably would have just hit my face to put me down to 9, but that's just me. Step links we can't cast. Let's see. So this is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're at a virtual 3. Huh. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're just dead. We can't play anything because of Blood Moon. If I had thought about Blood Moon, I would have brought in Cindervines. But it did not occur to me. Yep, we're dead. Cool. So how did we do with Naya Landfall Zoo in Modern? And we did relatively well. We went 3-2. That's a winning record. So I think we did really well. I think the deck performed a lot better than I expected it to. Sometimes you're just gonna have games where we had a couple games where we mulliganed because we couldn't find our land and we couldn't do anything. But like we performed really well. Wayward Guide Beast put in a lot more work than I expected it to. Like on turn 3, turn 4, this is a really solid card because we're bouncing lands to our hand when we don't have a land to play anyway. Goblin Guide, you know what it does. Of course, it was an all-star for us. Wild Nacatl also did very well, just oftentimes being a 1-mana 3/3. Tarka's Command put up a lot of work. There were multiple games where this let us pump our board, bolt our opponent. Tarka's Command did very well. Lightning Bolt did well. The thing that but the cards that I want to talk about the most are the new ones. Akum Hellhound, Skyclave Pickaxe, Brushfire Elemental. So as I talked about throughout the game, I ended up taking out Plated Geopeat a lot because it's 2 mana and the landfall trigger, even though it's the same as everything else in the deck, the landfall trigger is kind of lacking. Because it doesn't have haste, and that's the problem with it. The thing that I like Brushfire Elemental, because even though Brushfire Elemental is also just a 2 mana 1/1 that has the same landfall trigger, the thing that I like about this one is that it has haste. And that's why I thought Plated Geopeat was kind of bad. Honestly, I'd probably try to replace Plated Geopeat with something else. Even though we are trying to keep on with the landfall shenanigans, it just doesn't feel that great. There's a lot of games where we don't want to play this card because we're trying to combo out. It feels a lot like Prowess. I play a lot of Prowess, and so I understand how the deck plays. You want to play a critical mass of spells all in the same turn, and with cards like Stormwing Entity, say you're playing the blue-red version, you can't play a Stormwing Entity on turn 3 and then go to win the game on the same turn because it doesn't have haste. You can with Sprite Dragon. You can like play a 1-drop on turn 1, play 1 or 2 more on turn 2, and then play a Sprite Dragon on 3 and just start loading up the damage. You can't do that with Stormwing Entity because it doesn't have because it doesn't have haste. So even though it's a great card to have on turn 2, if you're trying to set up to win the game in later turns, Plated GOP just isn't great the later on in the game you go. Where Brushfire Elemental, because it has haste, because it has this ability to where it can't be chump blocked, it's a really solid card. I like Brushfire. And something else that I want to point out while I'm talking about this, Wayward Guide Beast, even though it's not that great of a card, just being a 1-mana 2/2 trample haste, when it hits we have to bounce a land. The bouncing a land is a problem. And that's something that a lot of people have talked about. Like, this card isn't great on turn 1. It's not Goblin Guide. We all know that. We all know that this is not Goblin Guide. Even though Goblin Guide's in the background yelling at it. But we saw it in one of those games earlier. This has trample, which is a thing that a lot of people are overlooking, especially for this style of deck. We can pump it with Autarka's Command and, more importantly, Skyclave Pickaxe to allow this to pump itself with the Pickaxe or the Autarka's Command, and it has trample, so it can just get in for a lot of damage quickly, and it doesn't matter if we're bouncing a land because we're trading that land bounce for 4, 6, 8, 10 damage with this thing. We had that one game earlier where we played a Pickaxe, then we played a fetch land, cracked it, we attacked for 6 with the Guide Beast. That's a lot of damage really quickly. And we had another game, I think it was that same game actually, where we played a second Guide Beast into a full board. Our opponent may have had a way to stay alive through the turn, but we played the second Guide Beast as another Goblin Guide-esque creature, a 1-mana 2/2 with haste, and it was the reason that our opponent died, because we were putting another 2/2 body on the board. So, yeah, like, Guide Beast, as not as an impressive a card as it is, as it's not that impressive of a card, it still put in work for us. We had several games where Guide Beast won us the game. And then Landfall stuff, played at GOP, probably should come out. It's not that great. Skyclave Pickaxe put in a lot of work, like we mentioned earlier with the Wayward Guide Beast. It lets us pump our stuff. Guide Beast has Trample, all that fun stuff. It can also let us double up our Landfall triggers on our Hellhounds and our Step Lynxes and our Brushfires, especially Brushfire because it can't be jump blocked. It also lets us grow our Nacatls and our Goblin Guides, just so we have multiple creatures growing off of Landfall triggers, so we can go tall and go wide all in the same thing with the same set of creatures. Pickaxe is a really solid card. Step Lynx, Hellhound, I think these are the cards that make the deck exist. If these weren't cards, I don't think this deck could exist, just because these cards, they're the 1-drops. We need to have these 1-drops. We can't just rely on having Pickaxe or whatever, so if these didn't exist, I don't think this deck could exist. It's kind of like how Prowess doesn't exist without Swift Spear and Soulscar Mage. Those cards have to exist, or the archetype doesn't exist. So, yeah, these cards, really strong. You got to keep them in the deck. I think Pickaxe is also worth, like, if this deck becomes a real deck, Pickaxe will also become a staple of the deck. Honestly, I really like this deck. The only card that I'm iffy on is Geopede. Maybe make it like Lava Spike or something, just so you have more stuff. Or you could make it another 1-drop. I think there's a green cat that has a landfall trigger. It's only +1/+1, not +2/+2, but it's still a landfall trigger at 1 mana. It's not as strong as Plated GOP, but it comes down on turn 1 compared to turn 2. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, or tell me on Twitter or whatever. Like, do you guys think Plated Geopede is better than I'm giving it credit for? Like, we saw it in the games. It put in work sometimes, but I don't know. Anyway, we also probably shouldn't be playing 14 fetch lands. We saw that against Mill, where we're only playing six lands we can fetch for. So if our opponent mills all of our targets, we can't, like, we don't have functional mana. In that game 3, they milled our Temple Garden and our Sacred Foundry, so we didn't have white mana. So we couldn't play Lurrus, we couldn't play Step Lynx, and we couldn't do anything. Yeah, so that was brutal. So maybe, like, go down these 2 additional lands, like go down the Verdants, go down the Bloodstained Mires, just for additional targets. Maybe an extra Temple Garden and an extra Sacred Foundry, just so we have more lands to go fetch for, more dual lands, all that fun stuff. But yeah. Other than that, I'm really happy with the main deck. Like, Geopede, maybe not so many fetch lands, go up a couple targeted, like, tutor target lands, but otherwise, deck felt solid. Sideboard-wise, I was really happy with it, too. Weather the Storm gained us, like, 9 life in that last game against Obosh. That was the only game we brought it in against, but, But, yeah, it did work. Even though we still lost, I think that was more because of Blood Moon, not because our opponent was more aggressive than us. Because if our opponent didn't have Blood Moon, then we were going to get down Lurrus. Then we were going to start getting back our Brushfire Elementals and stuff out of the graveyard to keep getting in for damage. And we had that Windswept Teeth in hand for most of that game, so we could have eventually just put a couple landfall creatures onto the battlefield and killed our opponent eventually. So I think Weather the Storm was really solid. It did work, gained us 9 life. So I was happy with Weather the Storm. Wrenn 6 felt weak. We only brought it in a couple games, and it didn't do anything. So it's probably not actually worth it. I think I'm just trying to be too cute with the sideboard. But, maybe make it another Roiling Vortex or something. Roiling Vortex, however, has a lot of applications. If we're playing against, like, Uro or Citadel or things like that, like, I know I mentioned it in the deck tech, but Roiling Vortex, very strong card. Even though it didn't do anything throughout our games, I think it's worth having maybe a second one in the sideboard. Otherwise, there's not a whole lot to say. I'm happy with the deck. I loved it. It does have potential to be a real contender in Modern if we can get the deck list figured out properly. So, yeah. That's it from me today, and I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and subscribe. While you're at it, hit that bell icon so you get notified whenever a new video goes up. If you want, feel free to check out some of our other content shown on your screen.